I'm Alan Spears with Occupy Democrats, and in a bit of hilarious and breaking news, the former Republican presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy just made a bit of a fool of himself. Now, as a bit of a reminder, before we dive into this breaking story, Ramaswamy was actually one of the most highly favored Republican candidates just about a year ago, prior to the Republican primaries and, of course, Donald Trump securing the Republican nominee for president in this upcoming election. Ramaswamy is actually openly Hindu and kind of breaks with the tradition of most, if not all, Republicans running under the banner of Christianity or claiming that they are Christians. Ramaswamy was also one of the only Republican candidates who really embraced social media and used it to leverage his campaign. Funnily enough, during one of the Republican presidential debates, Ramaswamy got into a very heated exchange with Nikki Haley after she criticized Ramaswamy for joining TikTok, to which Ramaswamy shot back saying that Nikki Haley's daughter had joined TikTok and that she should have her own concerns focused on her family before she goes after Ramaswamy. This actually prompted Haley to call Ramaswamy scum, and it was actually one of the most controversial and profound moments in the Republican debates. Now, like so many other Republicans out there, Ramaswamy ultimately ended his presidential campaign and endorsed Donald Trump. And ever since then, he's been on the trail campaigning for Donald Trump, and actually has been somewhat successful in tapping into the younger generations of conservatives. But it would seem that Ramaswamy is not quite as in touch with the youth, or really the rest of the world, as he maybe thought he was or had hoped for, as he actually went to the Libertarian Party convention about a month or two ago and was campaigning for Trump and trying to talk him up, and was met with a massive chorus of boos. His attempts to try to court voters that aren't on the far right seem to fall flat on their face, and that is actually what brings us into our breaking news today. Ramaswamy, despite being a bit younger and more energetic and resonating to some degree with younger conservatives, it would seem that he's not quite as capable as other Republicans might have hoped he would be. Ramaswamy went on to CNN to interview earlier this morning with John Berman, and it did not go well. Now, in this clip you'll be seeing momentarily, Ramaswamy tries to paint Donald Trump as a unifier, as someone who wants to restore unity and cohesion to this country. And as you can imagine, that didn't go well. In fact, I dare say Donald Trump would probably not even himself say he wants to unify the party if the people of this country don't stand behind him and support his every word and every command. He would rather they not be here, or that they leave the country, or worse. Berman, having two working brain cells, of course saw this as well and absolutely called Ramaswamy out on this. So take a look and see for yourself how Ramaswamy just absolutely made a complete and utter fool of himself.
Have some experience, recent experience on the debate stage, and you were pretty aggressive. And some people liked it, but other people didn't. For instance, the other candidates who were on that stage with you. Nikki Haley said, "You're just scum." Chris Christie called you the most obnoxious blowhard in America. So what lessons did you learn about aggressive tactics in debating?
Well, look, one of the things I would say is just be yourself and be true to Americans. I think the people of this country are able to snuff through pre-prepared, pre-canned talking points. One of the things I love about President Trump is he's not a guy who just sticks to a script. He's a guy who actually speaks his heart and mind. But one piece of advice I would give him, and I've gotten to know President Trump, especially after I've left the presidential race, is he is actually somebody who deeply cares about national unity. And that does not come across in the media's normal reporting of him. So one of my pieces of advice to him, and I think that he will be successful in getting this across, if not at the debate for the rest of the campaign, is how much he does care about reuniting one nation in this country. Biden pledged to unite the country. He has failed miserably. And I think that this debate tonight is a chance to focus on that vision for the future rather than relitigate.
Have you ever looked at Donald Trump's social media account, like on major national holidays where he says Happy Easter to all, even the scum, and filth of the earth, things like that? That's a message of unity?
Well, look, that's obviously because the media is actually picking a lot of the things that he said in a position of having been a fighter. Look, that first term had to be about fighting fire with fire because that's the position.
No. I'm talking about like 3 weeks ago. I'm talking about 3 weeks ago. Do you think his social media account is unifying?
Look, I don't think social media is set up to be unifying, period. And that's not a left-wing or a right-wing point. That's a 280 characters point. But I'm revealing a point that I think is counterintuitive to a lot of people, but is important.
It's
this
counterintuitive because they don't
revitalizing the greatness of America
see
and
a message
uniting
of
this
unity.
country.
Well, I really can't think of a better example of hypocrisy and just bold-faced lying than Ramaswamy right there. So, as you already are well aware, Donald Trump is not a man or a voice of unity. He does not care deeply about this country, he does not care about its best interests or its people, and we have ample evidence to prove that. And you know, it's pretty typical to see party members campaigning or stumping for their candidates, especially for the president, but you usually see them lean into qualities that can actually be tangibly proved or there are multiple examples of. Ramaswamy claiming that Donald Trump is a voice of unity is like claiming McDonald's is a health food. No, it's not. It's very clearly not. What are you talking about? But this is such typical Republican behavior. They're just going to go onto TV, go onto podcasts, go wherever, and they're just going to lie to you. Bold-faced lies, and they think that you are stupid enough to believe it. Because let's be honest, there's a significant amount of conservatives within this country that are stupid enough to believe something like Donald Trump is a voice of unity. And why even try to attempt to sell this? This is not even worthy of lying about. Why not just embrace the fact that Donald Trump is an authoritarian, embrace the fact that he is a wannabe fascist and a wannabe dictator, and he's doing his best to upend our democracy. Why not just lean into that and say, Trump's a strong man and he's going to get the job done because no one else can? I don't know. Like, if you're going to shill for Donald Trump, why not do it in a way that actually makes sense? Look, as of this recording, the first presidential debate between President Biden and Trump is occurring tomorrow. And it's very clear that the Republicans are scared and that they are doing their best to try to quickly repaint a picture of Donald Trump being this competent, unifying leader or having this country's best interests at heart. And we all know that's not the case, at least those of us that aren't in the MAGA movement know that Donald Trump is nothing but a con man and a grifter and is only in this for himself. And it's so funny to watch Ramaswamy just lie about this sort of stuff, and Berman calls him out on it immediately, and he has to immediately pivot into being, oh, well, social media is never a place of unity. Social media is always this place where you're going to be arguing and it's divisive. Like, then why try to sell the lie that he's unifying? Donald Trump is notoriously and chronically online and constantly just dredges up the first thought that waffles through his 5 brain cells to share to his fanatical base. There's certainly no filter, that's for sure, but that's not a good thing. Being president requires having a degree of control and being capable of understanding a situation or how things you say or do can be taken out of context or can be seen in a different light. And it's clear Donald Trump doesn't think about any of that. It doesn't matter if it's online or offline. Donald Trump is one of the most vitriolic and divisive people this country has ever had to suffer through. And to me, this just screams and reeks of desperation because they know in this first debate, when these two candidates are going to have to talk about the issues that matter, that are going to have to actually speak about something of substance, Trump is done for. Realistically, this first debate with CNN isn't going to be about playing to an audience, as there's not even going to be an audience present. It's not going to be about trying to get in one-liners or zingers to try to make the other candidate look bad, because the candidates' mics are going to be muted whenever they aren't directly asked a question or responding to a point. This debate is going to be focused about policy, about what the candidates are going to do when they are in office these next 4 years. It's going to be about what they hope to accomplish, what they want to repeal, what they believe in. And the truth of the matter is, Donald Trump doesn't have anything. He only believes in himself and what he can get out of this. And people like Ramaswamy know this. They know that Donald Trump is nothing but a bobblehead full of hot gas and that he's not going to be capable of performing in this debate. And perhaps if Ramaswamy or Trump or Nikki Haley or any of these Republicans had a functioning frontal lobe, they would have learned something from their utter failure in their bid for the presidency.